Whoa, wait. Do you smell that? Smell that? Smells like desperation. Because that's how some RV manufacturers are being towards RV dealerships and the RV community. Now, that's not going to result in crashing prices where you're going to buy things 10 cents on the dollar. Not going to happen. But it's got a possibility of having a positive impact, but it has a bigger possibility of having a negative impact on the consumer base. And by the way, it has nothing to do with price. Welcome to HB RV Lifestyle, the podcast. I'm the host, John Levingston, aka the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as some other things. Now, before I launch into this, I do want to say that when I talk about some of the manufacturers, this is not personal, okay? This is called a wake-up call. Now, I am going to link a couple of articles in the description box below for your reading. One of them is going to be the first manufacturer I'm going to talk about, and it's the only one I'm going to name, and that's Lance. Okay? Now, to get an understanding of Lance Manufacturing, when it was privately owned, were they the best in the business? No. Not at all. Were they a really good product? Absolutely. When you were a dealer of Lance trailers or Lance campers, prior to them selling to Rev Group, you felt taken care of. You felt like if the camper fell apart on the lot, Lance Manufacturing was going to take care of you. It's a lot of the ways we felt about Tiffin. It was a lot of the ways we felt about Winnebago Motorhomes. It was the way I feel about Outdoors RV and Northwood Manufacturing. Northern Light, different companies. Even Palomino. However, like everyone, when you have $400 or $500 million laying in front of you, you want to retire, you sell the company, especially when no one wants to take it from you or you have no one to pass it down to. And then just like a lot of corporations that act like hedge funds, and you can look this up for yourself, guys, they bought, I think, for $400 million, and over a 6.5 year period, took one of the best brands that dealers love to have on their lot and destroyed it, nuked it. Now, it was shocking to us as dealers because Rev Group did a great job bringing back Monaco and Fleetwood motorhomes, and it seemed like, okay, it's just a natural thing that they're progressing to be a towable. And you figured, okay, at the time, Winnebago bought Grand Design RV. And at the time, we're like, okay, so Winnebago, Grand Design, that makes sense. Of course, we know different now, but that's a story for a different day. So naturally, if Rev Group's doing such a good job with this motorized division, it should translate into towables. It didn't. It became a nightmare. They jacked the price up and lowered the quality. And then turned around and sold it to a good group of guys. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're not good people. They're great people, okay? And they are RV people. And I was excited at first But now that I've seen what they're trying to put out in the market, I'm like, what direction are you going? But then again, Rev Group sold it for pennies on the dollar to get rid of it and dump it because it was a loser, because they had destroyed it. And now they want to rebuild the trust in the Lance camper and Lance trailer. Well, the number one reason, the number one way to do that is rebuild all the Lance campers sitting on dealership lots that haven't sold in the last 3 years because of the price and the quality, and throw money at it, which they don't have. See, that's the problem, right? When you get into manufacturing and you take over an old brand and try to rebuild it, you got to throw a ton of money out at the market to get rid of all the old inventory and restart and rebuild from zero. And these guys don't have that money. Again, great group of guys, great RV guys, excellent RV guys, but they don't have the capital to rebuild this brand. They don't. Manufacturing is very different than being a dealer. One guy hasn't run a real manufacturing since 2006, and one is the son of a dealer principal that owns 4 dealerships, maybe 5 now, has a great golf game. It's just the smell of desperation. Then on the flip side of things, with the bigger manufacturers, they're playing games with dealerships by sending them cancellation letters that are notarized for products they already have sitting on the lot. No joke. Over 24 dealership owners have reached out to me and said that major manufacturers that they still have product on the lot for and are overstocked in have sent them a cancellation letter that is notarized. And the only reason to do that is because they're trying to renegotiate the territory of that dealer so they can sign somebody else up and build more crap. That's the only reason. So if you don't understand what I mean, give you quick context. Brand X says they want to sell travel trailers in central Wyoming. An ABC dealer is available and wants the product. They come up with a dealer agreement that tells you how much minimum you have to stock and how much territory you get. Well, a lot of these dealers ended up with big territories, especially on brands that were new or newer. And now those dealers are overstocked with brand X and told the manufacturer, don't build me anymore. So now the manufacturer, the general managers of these plants are like, I'm not shutting down production. Nope. We need to build. Send them a cancellation letter. Mr. Sales Guy, you will go sign somebody in their territory so we can continue production. So instead of being smart and saying, we have a lot of inventory out in the world, we can't slash prices by 50% like people supposedly want it to happen. It's not going to happen. But maybe we can assist in trade-ins. Maybe we can come up with a rebate program that helps with trade-ins. Maybe we can give the manufacturer can give money to the dealer to buy down an interest rate. Let's not think about stuff like that that'll help move the inventory so the dealer partner that you chose and has been a good partner for 10 plus years reorders. No, we got to put brand X and keep building. That's desperation. So what they don't realize is the brands that have sent out these cancellation letters notarized is in most of the states that these letters were sent out to, the dealer can just go to their attorney and draft a letter saying, okay, your stuff's outside. When are you going to pay off the bank and come pick up your stuff? Because you have to buy the inventory back. If you send a cancellation letter notarized that you are canceling a dealer that has product on their lot, in almost every state, you got to buy the inventory back. Over 24 dealers are going to be contacting the manufacturer through their attorneys and saying, come buy your stuff back then. It's a game. And the positive effect is that next year, there will be less inventory available on the market than there has been in the last 3 years combined. We'll get back to some sense of normalcy. Now that means prices are going to go up. They're not going to go down. Are they going to jump 20%? No. But they're going to go back and revert to that 1%, 1.5%, 1.8% increase every year. Because now you're building less, you got to make more profit. You're going to sell less, you got to make more profit. So prices are going to go up. Not super dramatic, but they are. They're going to go up. The supply is going to shrink, like the car industry is trying to do. So prices can stabilize and go back to their normal increase every year. Now, the bad thing behind this is a very negative thing, is the brands that might be sacrificed because of the desperation and stupidity of some of these brand X's could take out half of the quality products. So all we end up with is a few quality ones and a few cheap crap ones. Now, there's nothing wrong with cheap, crappy units that are 12 grand or 13 grand or 15 grand. There's nothing wrong with those units. You know, they're a good starter. Welcome to the RV industry. You get what you pay for. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting a $120 payment on a travel trailer you're going to use 4 or 5 times a year. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you're stepping up into a nicer, higher quality travel trailer like an Arctic Fox, like a Keystone Cougar, like a Rockwood, like a Brinkley, like a Grand Design Imagine, etc., and half of those brands are gone, it makes it harder to have a shopping experience. It makes it harder to actually buy a unit. And if you think that Liz Amazing's channel is big now, wait until that happens. Because now, if 60% of the inventory is all cheap, poorly built for 4 or 5 times a year trip, 12995 Coleman 17Bs, we're in deep crap. I think what needs to happen is these dinosaurs over in the manufacturing side need to wake up. And look, I apologize to his family up front. This is not a derogatory comment, okay? God rest his soul. But the years that Pete Legal was predominant in the industry are gone. The days of strong-arming dealers, the days of being John Cena and hiding from issues that are real are over. And they've been over for a couple years. And at some point, because the industry is so small, at some point, these dealers are going to just basically give the manufacturers the double bird and call it a day. And if they do that to a brand because of the way a brand is treating folks, that actually is pretty good quality, like the ones we talked about earlier, that's not good for the RV community. If a brand like Brinkley on the travel trailer side disappeared along with Rockwood and Flagstaff, along with, I don't know, Jayco Eagle, because of the way dealers are being treated by the manufacturers, that's not good for the community, and that's not good for the consumer, because there's nothing to step up into. See, this is what nobody's thinking about. The guy that goes down to Camping World and spends $12,000 on a cheap 17B trailer, or 13C or 13R, or whatever the hell they're calling it these days, they're not staying in that trailer for 20 years. That trailer is attractive because the payment's $100, $150, whatever that is. And they get to take their family out. But eventually the family gets bigger. It goes from being 3 trips a year, 5 trips a year, to holy crap, we're going out for 2 full weeks now during the summer. We're traveling across the country. You're not doing that in a Coleman 17B. So you go to the market, you're like, oh, look, I heard a lot about Brinkley. I heard a lot about Imagine. I've heard a lot about Rockwood. I've heard a lot about Cougar and Eagle and Arctic Fox and Outdoors RV and Nash and all these companies. Let me go see what they're about. Wow, sticker shock. And they get to do their homework. They get to do their research. They get to have a shopping experience and make a decision that's best for them. But if now you're down to 3 brands of that and they have hardly any inventory out there, or they have to overbuild the inventory to keep up with the demand, you're cooked. So it's like none of the RV manufacturers think about the levers pulled. Like it's with anything in life. If you pull a lever and say, let's send cancellations to all these dealers and let's force production, all those levers that get pulled after it don't even get thought about. And then they get shocked. What do you mean nobody wants a product? What do you mean you can't sign anybody? I've got the best product in the industry. I got the hottest product. Why is nobody doing it? You don't realize the levers you get pulled. You don't think that I don't get phone calls from dealers across the country that ask me, hey, I remember you used to carry this and film this. What are your thoughts? You don't think dealers do that with each other in 20 groups? You don't think dealers don't hop on the phone with each other on a daily basis and go, hey, what'd you think of Brand X Super C? How did they treat you? Just saying.